Joining us now is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Ojinika, hello, how are you?
Good morning, Dr. Abati. You always take me by surprise. How are you?
Well, I mean, first time I'm seeing you today.
Yes.
But most people wouldn't
They
know
wouldn't
that
know.
We don't see
They
you
wouldn't
before.
we never see each other. I just show up and you guys
like
see
a
me.
ray of
That's why we
sunshine.
get so excited when we greet each other the way we do.
Yes.
Let them know, Tundu. Good morning. You look lovely, Victoria.
So do you,
Great. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In the United States, following Bill and Melinda Gates' divorce announcement, the Bloomberg Billionaires Index delists Bill Gates, who was the world's fourth richest man, from its list of billionaires. And Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, is set to publish a children's book titled The Bench, a book which is based on Prince Harry and baby Archie, borders on the relationship between a father and a son. In Geneva, World Trade Organization boss Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala on Tuesday named 2 women to the WTO's 4 deputy leaders' job for the first time in its history. In France, young Muslim women protest online using the hashtag #HandsUpMyHijab against a proposal by French senators to ban the use of the hijab in public spaces. In Russia, Dr. Nikolai Shinkarenko, a top lung surgeon who came out of retirement to fight the pandemic, died when he set himself on fire after he realized that he infected his entire family with the deadly COVID-19 virus. In India, infectious diseases expert Dr. Ranjendra Kalipa, a professor from Rutgers University at Newark, New Jersey, dies of COVID-19. He is reported to have taken 2 shots of the Pfizer vaccine, but succumbed to the Indian variant. In Mexico, a train wreck that sent metro cars plunging into busy streets and killing at least 24 people, including children, has made the rounds. In Nigeria, parents of the abducted students from the College of Forestry Mechanization, Afaka, in Kaduna State, staged a protest at the National Assembly complex, demanding the government's intervention in rescuing their children held captive for more than 55 days.
I was pregnant and I trained it for 27 years old to be one. And in person, where does they do like this? Make it help us to do all these things, make it stop. It's painful. 27 years old. It's 55 days today. I don't feel talk with my boy. I don't feel look at help us. I beg just help us. Help us.
Tunde, that's just one of the many parents that came out to protest yesterday. It was so horrific. I watched this video, I cried. And, you know, it wasn't just her, there were other people, you know, the civil society organization came out as well. Also, activist Omoyele Sowore was amongst the civil rights group who came out to protest. Well, here's what he had to say.
To appeal to the government, don't get me wrong, the government has failed. The Nigerian government has failed the Nigerian people. It is up to the Nigerian people to decide how long they want to continue to tolerate this failure. It is up to you. And it doesn't matter. Don't be afraid of security agents. They themselves have failed. Soldiers are getting kidnapped. Colonels, they go and pay ransom. A DSS guy was kidnapped. They paid ransom and they killed him after that. Nothing happened.
It's safe to say that the federal government have failed these parents. It is so heartbreaking, Tundu.
It is devastating. You can't help but feel for the parents. They don't know where their children are right now. They don't know how they've been treated. They don't know what they've been fed. They have been terrorized. And even though this, the mother you just showed, the weeping mother you just showed now, her child is 27. That is still her baby.
Yes.
It's devastating. And somebody has to do something at this point. They have to get out of there. I don't even care what it takes at this point. Just, they have to be released.
Yeah, 39 of them.
Yes.
Only 10 have been released so far. I'll show you one of the abducted students who was released recently from captivity, Ishaya Jafaru. He narrated his ordeal in the hands of the abductors.
Our parent was able to pay the money. By them, they now released. From there, they were able to release us. Since we were there, they pay money before they released us. We were sitting down, then from there they now came to point out that they were pointing us. Then from there they pick us under their machine. Then from there they take us out from there.
Dr. Bati, Ishaya was lucky.
Well, as you said yesterday, no Nigerian child or person or citizen or visitor, foreigner, whatever, should be subjected to this ordeal. Kidnapping, of insecurity, of torture, of dehumanization. But we're talking here about the dehumanization of persons. And it's most unfortunate that the students of the School of Forestry Mechanization, Afaka, and many of them are still in captivity more than 50 days after they were abducted.
56 today, yes.
Yeah. The students of the Greenfield University, Kaduna, they also have been in captivity more than 11 days since they were, abducted. I mean, we discussed that of Greenfield University yesterday, how, I said I was anxious. I kept checking that somebody would pay the 100 million naira and the 10 Boko Haram Honda motorcycles that the abductors were asking for. But we also prayed yesterday that God should touch the hearts of those terrorists and that nothing will happen to them. So again, this morning we have the parents protesting. Well, the anguish of the parents, the anxiety of the parents, the frustration of the parents is, in my view, clearly understandable. Anybody who has ever been to the maternity ward, or who has a family member, or who has a friend, will know what it means for you to lose somebody, for somebody to disappear. Yorubas even have a saying for it, that, when somebody who is close to you disappears, the agony of it, the frustration of it is even worse than that of the person dying. And then to think of human beings. Now, even if your goat disappears and you hear that your goat has been abducted, the entire community will be in trouble, not to talk of a human being. So all of this is a reminder that the Nigerian government needs to wake up. Yesterday, there was a National Security Council meeting. Yesterday, we were informed that there is now a national committee on small and light weapons proliferation. All of these measures being taken by government will only make sense to the average Nigerian if it is measurable in terms of outcome. And the big outcome is safety, is security, is the average Nigerian being able to hail a taxi, whether it's Uber or whatever, and be sure that he or she will not be kidnapped. To sleep at home and not have to keep one eye open and be half asleep and suffer from self-induced, self-inflicted insomnia because you are not sure what will happen between the time you go to bed and the time you wake up in the morning. Well, we sympathize with the parents. Our prayers go out to them, and we just hope that the government will do something. At this point, we're not talking theory anymore. We're not saying, it's not good to negotiate with bandits. The US tried to do it. Germany did it at a point. No. We want those students just to be safe.
Released immediately.
Those who have started the campaign hashtag bring back our students.
Yes.
Government must listen to them and government must act, because the job of government is to protect the people. It's a constitutional mandate. It is clearly written. And the people who are in government, they took an oath to defend the integrity, the sovereignty of Nigeria, and to ensure the security and welfare of the people. Let us get these people back first, even if it's a question of money. And I call on, rich Nigerians, because the parents were also saying, okay, even if government does not want to negotiate, where are the rich people, the people who ride the Rolls Royce and limousine? Tondo, what are those cars that you rich people ride?
And Bentley.
I wouldn't know.
So let them come forward and help these people.
Yes.
Because they are not just calling on government, they are calling on the, you mentioned Bentley.
I said Bentley.
Okay, you know.
Yes, I do.
As a billionaire, sir.
All right.
Okay.
But let me tell you, the question now, Dr. Bati, for you. What is the big deal in negotiating at this point when we can see this cry from the parents and the agony that the children have faced while they were held captive?
Well, the problem with negotiating is that you only feed the monster, don't you? So I understand why the Kaduna State government position has been what it is. But I am sorry, when you see these kinds of videos, I just want them out. I just want them out. I understand, because if you do pay them, the cycle continues. The more you pay them, the more emboldened they get.
Yeah.
And they will continue. So it will not only be students in Kaduna, next thing will be students all over Nigeria because they have seen that it works. So I get it on the intellectual level, but oh my goodness.
Well, that brings me to my next story, because that's the conversation, even with the, what would I call them? Terrorist sympathizers. Let's take another story. Nigerians on social media have reacted to the federal government's claim that kidnapping and banditry are not federal offences in Nigeria. The Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, reacting to the People's Democratic Party's call to end insecurity in the nation, said he is disappointed at the party's inability to identify a federal offense after 16 years of rule. The minister told the party to call out the states, including those being controlled by it, to ensure a rigorous prosecution of arrested kidnappers. Well, let's take a tweet from Nefertiti, who wrote, well, federal offenses include 1, killing of cows, criticizing Buhari, setting up the ESN, asking Buhari to resign, calling for a referendum, not linking your national identification number to your SIM card, banning open grazing, selling alcohol in Kano and Kaduna, refusal to pay Sheikh Gumi's men. Well, in the meantime, the controversial Islamic cleric, Sheikh Ahmad Gumi, in an interview, claimed that the Boko Haram insurgents are the ones behind the abduction of the students from the Greenfield University in Kaduna State, and not bandits, as being reported. Sheikh Gumi, the terrorist sympathizer, I will name and shame him. The question now is, why is he out there? Why is he out at large? He also claimed that the federal government knows the location of the, where the children are or the kidnapped students are, but they cannot act because, if, they were to act, the children may be killed. But he has that type of intelligence. How difficult is it to negotiate or to have a way to get these children, the students, out?
No, he's too busy justifying their actions and explaining how, because the country has failed them, they have resorted to torturing other people, as if that's a justification for this kind of behavior. I find him baffling. I find equally baffling this position that kidnapping, what did you say, is not a federal offense?
Yes, that's the main topic.
I mean,
I don't understand
the
it.
Terrorism Prevention Act of Nigeria, this is a national law passed by the National Assembly, assented to by the President of Nigeria. It's 2011, amended in 2013, does talk about hostage taking, which is kidnapping. It's a seizure and detention of a person, threatening to kill them or abuse them in some way, and trying to compel another party to act or abstain from acting, and giving specific conditions, implied or explicit, for their release. I think that's Section 15 of the Act. And that Section 15, subsection 2, a person could be an individual. It could be a state, it could be a country. So this is clearly under that national law passed by the National Assembly, not a state House of Assembly. And also that law puts all offenses in that act, Terrorism Prevention Act, under the administration and implementation of the Attorney General of the Federation, not of the states. And it's all to be coordinated by the Office of the National Security Advisor. Yep. Yes, states do have kidnapping laws. Right. A state like Imo, for example, in their kidnapping law, if you're convicted, it's a death penalty. But kidnapping is also it's a federal offense. So I am baffled by that, to be honest.
Are we to be surprised, Dr. Abati?
Well, I'm surprised. And the surprise comes from the fact that Alhaji Lai Mohammed is a lawyer. And with due respect, I think he's wrong when he says that, banditry, kidnapping, terrorism are not federal offenses. I hope he was not quoted out of context, because the usual thing is for federal officials, state officials, to say they were quoted out of context. Now, why do I say that I'm surprised? Yes, I've stated that. He's a lawyer. Maybe, he's not been paying attention to his law books, to be abreast of developments. You recall that in November 2020, governors of the Northeast, they had a meeting on the security situation in the country. And a major outcome of that meeting was their request to be allowed to be given the fiat by the Attorney General of the Federation to try offenses relating to terrorism, kidnapping in their own jurisdictions. They wondered, they raised the question that why is it that the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation will give fiat to private attorneys, but will not give fiat to the states to prosecute matters relating to terrorism. So in that regard, the state governors made it very clear that they were handicapped. I'm not sure whether the Honorable Minister of Information is aware of this, but he can double check it. I'm sure it's out there in the public domain. So when he says these are not federal offenses, well, it's curious, because these are offenses against the state. Banditry, kidnapping, all forms of criminality, they are offenses that violate the Nigerian Constitution, to which state officials have sworn to defend. They are offenses against the integrity of the Nigerian state. And that is why you find cases that will say ABC versus Federal Government of Nigeria, or XYZ versus Attorney General of the Federation, or Y versus state. You know, these are, so what is it that are not federal offenses? Okay? Or what is it that constitute federal offenses?
I've listed some.
And that's why I think Nefertiti, the first lady of Nigerian Twitter, she goes by at first ladyship. Yeah. She pointed out that, well, the federal offenses are expressing your opinion, you know, protesting against the federal government, joining, what is it called, NSAS protest. Okay, there you have the list. Asking Buhari to resign. So, and I thought that was very brilliant. That was creative. That was pure
refusal
ingenuity.
to pay Sheikh Gumi's men. That was one that got me.
And killing of cows.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is this?
So these probably are the offenses.
Yes.
And I think, you know, Nefertiti at first leadership,
yes,
you know, had helped all Nigerians to make the point.
Yeah.
But Minister Mohammed then went further and challenged the PDP and those saying the government is not doing enough. And he rolled out a number of outcomes from a security summit that was held in Kaduna. If you look at the list of some of the things he raised, these are issues that Nigerians have been talking about. It's not about telling us, oh, they talked about state police, they talked about local government autonomy. The issue is, what is it that the federal government is doing about these issues of concern?
That's all
it's not enough to have a Kaduna summit.
All we need to know. That's really all we need to know. Well, before we take our next story, we'll have to go on a short break. And when we come back, What's Trending on the Morning Show will continue. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Morning Show. We're still on What's Trending. Let's take a story that has caused outrage on social media. It's a video of a woman who was being flogged by men alleged to be her father for going to meet her boyfriend. The young woman in the video was held down by at least 3 men, who the woman referred to as her brothers, while pleading for mercy. One of the men tried to suffocate her with a rag over her mouth. The men flogged her repeatedly with what appears to be an electric cable until her complexion turned purple. Then they poured water on her to further inflame her wounds. When they had finished flogging her buttocks, the men asked her to turn and proceeded to flog her on her private parts. By the end of the 3-minute-long video, one of the men could be heard saying they were going to kill her. Tundu, when I watched this video, I was shocked. This is complete man's inhumanity to man. If this actual group of people were her relative, I cannot understand the story. Apparently, there are so many versions of the story. One was the fact that she had posted some nudity on social media and her parents got to know. Another was the fact that, which I heard from the video, was that she went to meet her boyfriend. Whatever the case may be, how can this happen to this young woman? And I put this video up because I would like for authorities to find her, because the video is clearly circulating on social media, and I hope that she is not dead.
What manner of depravity and savagery makes you do this to somebody and then threaten to kill her? And I actually believe that they're capable of killing her, because anybody that can torture somebody, when it's not Guantanamo Bay, I mean, if you can do this to somebody, you are capable of murder. Yes, you're capable of murder. And we live in a world where honor killings happen, where women are killed and girls are killed for, quote unquote, bringing dishonor to their families. Even something as simple as refusing to marry who they've chosen for you. We tend to hear those cases in the Middle East and South Asia, but it does happen in Africa. And this, thankfully, I hope, has fallen short of an honor killing. It's an honor torturing. And the authorities should apprehend these savages. These are absolute barbarians. And really, who protects women and girls? Who really protects us, OG? Anybody feels they can just do as they please to women, attack us as they please, and there are no consequences. What kind of behavior justifies this?
None.
Even if she posted nudity on social media, what is this? It reminds me of the case of a girl in Pakistan that they were calling the Kim Kardashian of Pakistan, and her brother killed her. She became the breadwinner of her family. She suffered. They married her off in her youth, in a very young age. She managed to leave her abusive marriage, worked so hard. She was the breadwinner, and her brother felt justified in strangling her because she was posting pictures of herself looking glamorous on Instagram. This is the kind of sickness that we deal with.
Both of you are absolutely correct. Whatever the catalyst for this inhumanity is not justifiable, it's completely condemnable. We do not have enough details as to where this happened, the identity of the lady involved, or the location of this, inhuman conduct. But I hope that the relevant authorities or those who have information will make that information available within the public domain, and that the relevant authorities would immediately arrest and prosecute all the persons involved in this act of violation. The second point is that what they have done is criminal.
Correct.
Torture, degrading treatment of another human being is considered evil, even under customary international law. Article 5, of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 7 of the International Covenant on Civil and People's Rights, the ICPPR, condemn specifically torture, degrading treatment, inhuman treatment of any person. And here in Nigeria, it is there in the Constitution, Section 34, which talks about the dignity of the human person. Whatever the lady may have done, whether she posted her nudity on the social media or she went to see her boyfriend, these are issues that can be dealt with in other ways. Okay, if it is nudity, the criminal code talks about indecent exposure and all of that. In Ghana, we had the recent case of Okpe, who posted, nude pictures with her son on social media. Yes, she was sentenced, but that matter has now been resolved. So there are civilized ways. But to take a human being, tie her up and begin to, dehumanize
with
her.
An electric cable. And I watched it, it broke.
So
it broke.
All of that is unacceptable. And as the Ghanaians are done, not a similar case, with Polo to show that there are certain things you cannot do. I think that the Nigerian authorities should also follow up to show that they are attentive in terms of how people behave within the community. The other leg of the analysis is to see how this is about patriarchy. The people beating this lady, they were all men.
Yes.
I mean, the video that I saw, I didn't see any woman there.
No.
So there is this conception by men that a woman, either she's a daughter or she's a wife in Nigeria, is a chattel, a property. And that her rights can be effectively circumscribed, defined, limited, by patriarchy. Because those men who were beating her, whether it's the father or the brothers, they feel that, look, they have control over her life and that she has no right to go and see a boyfriend without permission.
Yeah, you could hear them
and that
saying,
there are certain things that she
here.
cannot do without their permission.
Yes.
I don't know her age, but from her looks, she probably, has reached the age of consent. And that's why we talk endlessly about the decision-making rights of women, whether it is reproductive rights or it is political decision-making rights.
Agency.
So that you don't treat women as chattel, as property, that you can just treat as you like.
Yes,
But I want to say that some of the staunchest defenders of the patriarchy are women who have been abused and abased by it and cannot bear the thought that future generations can actually be liberated. They are the ones who are particularly vehement sometimes about protecting this kind of sicknesses. So you never know. And I want to know who would film this kind of atrocity.
It appeared to be one of her brothers because you could hear her. I watched the video 3 times because I wanted to understand what it was all about. You could hear her begging, and she kept on calling out her dad, Daddy Biko. She was speaking Igbo, so it seemed like it might have been from the east or something. You could hear her speaking Igbo, begging who may be her father, and you could hear her calling on her brothers to stop. And she was begging and pleading for the entire 3-minute-long video. I mean, it was horrific. Now, my issue is I hope she is not dead somewhere because she could have died from that video. You could see that she was exhausted at one point. She was exhausted and she just stopped crying. And they kept on pouring water on her. It was horrific what happened to this
young woman. As if she was in Guantanamo Bay.
Yes.
That's exactly
or in Abu Ghraib.
Yes.
In 2002.
Yeah, water torture.
Well, the relevant law is the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015.
But is it domesticated in her state?
We don't know whether it's domesticated in that state. It's domesticated in only 15 states of the Federation. And, this again points to the need for states to come up with the appropriate legislation. And I hope the governor in that state, which state is this?
We're not sure yet.
It's not
the location is not there yet, but it seems like it is in the east. And I hope that the authorities are watching this. And I know that they have gotten it because that is the power of social media. And this young woman must be saved from, her family or whoever they are. They may not even be her family.
This is not strict parenting. This is actually horrendous. These people need to be behind bars.
Horrendous.
If you can do this to your relative, then what can you do to your neighbor?
Right.
Or anybody else?
Well, I apologize. This is how I had to end What's Trending today.
Well, thank you very much. We look forward to tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow is another day.